We here have verse 23 of the third chapter of the Gospel of John. We finished the conversation with Nicodemus and were advised in the previous verse that Jesus has gone out now into the more or less the surrounding vicinities of Jerusalem, out to where there is an opportunity for him to baptize. We're not told, especially at that point, specifically where, but we have a little hint of it that comes in the next verse, which introduces once again to us John the Baptist. Haven't heard much from John since chapter 1, but now once again we have him brought into the picture. Ein, from eimi, the imperfect, first person, or I should say third person singular of this verb of being. So it was, or he was, de, the soft conjunction, and he was, kai, and ho ioannes. This is, of course, the name John, usually translated that way. So the John, or John, was also baptizon, participle, first person singular, present participle, masculine. So John was there, or John was baptizing, and in, Ainon, is a location which is somewhat disputed to this day. There's some who think they know exactly where it was. Others are not so sure, so we won't bother with that right now, but it was certainly somewhere in the vicinity of the region of Judah. Engus, this is a adverb, means near at hand. To Salem, another location which is not altogether certain. So we're hearing that John the Baptist was there baptizing in this location, which was near another location, and of course it was probably meaningful to the first readers of this text, but remains a little bit of a controversy in our day. Hoti, because, conjunction, hudata, water or waters, pola, many or many waters or much water, ein was, eki, there. The adverb there, indeclinable. So John is baptizing in this location wherever it was because much water was there. It is, of course, tempting for those who especially have a Baptist perspective to suggest that this means that baptism must have been by immersion, and it may very well have been by immersion. No particular debate needs to be raised at that point. It's a different question whether immersion is mandatory in order to have legitimate New Testament baptism, but obviously we'll leave that conversation for another day. But at this point, there certainly is a suggestion of much water being there, and I think the purpose, whatever one might think concerning the need for immersion, one part of this is simply to say that this baptism was a dramatic affair, that much water suggests that this was something that wasn't simply a minor kind of inconsequential ceremony, but it had a rather dramatic impact on those who are participating in it, and the fact that much water is involved in it would certainly point in that direction. Kai perigenanto, from genomai, to come, to become, para, suggesting coming near. So they were coming to him, they were coming into his presence. This is the imperfect deponent verb, so they were coming. That's why this particular ending is found here. Same ending here, but this is not deponent. It's simply the passive of the verb baptizo. It's in the imperfect, third person, plural, passive, indicative, and so they were coming and were being baptized. So John is in the same vicinity as Jesus. They're both baptizing. People are coming to John. People are coming to Jesus. People sometimes wonder how it is that John, having pointed the way to Jesus, having declared this is the one, would continue baptizing in an independent sort of way here. But we do understand that Jesus and John, while they had compatible ministries, and that ultimately Jesus would certainly be the one who would be transcendently more important, nevertheless, recognized John and indeed endorsed him and said of him that among those born of women there had been none greater. And yet John himself seems to have entertained later some degree of misgiving when he would send emissaries to Jesus asking, "Hey, are you the one, or do we still look for someone else?" It suggests that John, though he had identified Jesus, still had a rather independent streak in him. And that may account for the fact that he continues to be baptizing, even though Jesus has been identified by him. So we'll leave that question at that. But one way or another, we hear that both Jesus and John are carrying on their baptismal ministries at this point in the Judean wilderness.